So the big question is this: how do you take $42,000 in assets in a one TrackMan Bay facility in the back of a CrossFit gym and turn it into a 12 bay, 17,000 square foot training facility in just a few years? That's the question, and this is the podcast that's going to give you the answer. Welcome to Inside the Room on Stockshot Secrets. So this is part 2 of a little series that I'm doing for you that really breaks down like what I kind of call the engagement flywheel, which in my opinion is the most important thing that any business needs to master, especially and primarily indoor golf facilities and greengrass facilities. Because if they can master this, their life, their world, their bank accounts, everything changes. So the first thing we talked about, if you haven't watched it, you can go back and watch, right? And maybe come back to this one. But the first thing we talked about was enticing. So in the flywheel, right, there's 6 stages of the flywheel. And the first one is enticing. And that was about like how to get customers, right? Like not just relying on word of mouth, but actually going out and finding your right person to then bring them to your space. So that was the first part and how to do it. Now, the second part in this engagement flywheel is engagement. So we need to entice and then we need to engage. So now after we have delivered value to them and we are starting to earn their trust, right? Now it is all about how to engage with them to take the next step in our relationship. So let's run out a little bit of a scenario. So let's say in the last episode, we talked about creating what we would say like for the golfer, right? The customer, we would say, here's a solid, how to make solid contact video series, completely free. Let's just say it's like 6 videos. Each video is 10 minutes long. It's an hour's worth of content and it's completely free. And you fix the whole problem from A to Z on doing it. So now the customer has built trust and they like what you are having to say. And in exchange for getting the video series, you have now gotten some information from them, i.e. an email and a phone number. So now it is a matter of about trying to get them to engage with you with a relationship. And don't forget, I shouldn't say don't forget, but just know that like a phone number and an email are really, really important because this allows you to take the next step. If you don't have a phone number and email, the whole thing is worthless. Which is why, in my opinion, under my marketing, we'll say perspective or lens, everything needs to be direct marketing. So you'll never find like the Golf Room or the Golf Room Everywhere or collegegolf.com or like any of the other companies that I'm owning doing brand marketing, right? Like you'll never see like a sign at an Ohio State stadium or something, right? Because if I'm going to do marketing, I need to get a name and a number in exchange for the marketing, right? Like it's got to be a business exchange between the two. So now that I've enticed the lead, I now need to engage them and I have their name and number. So the engagement process really starts the process of what is this customer's journey through their life or through their relationship with you. And that starts like one of my employees the other day was asking me, they go, Kyle, like we were just kind of shooting the breeze. It was actually my GM. And he was like, who do you think is the most important person within the golf room organization? Right. And it wasn't like he was trying to ask, am I the most important? We were just kind of talking about it. I was like, whoever the customer sees next, that's the most important employee. So in this state, in this situation, we go, who is the most important person to this avatar? Let's say John Joe. Who is the most important person? And it's the person who now calls John Joe to see if he would like to take the next step in his process, which might be, let's say, a new student assessment at the golf room or a swing evaluation online or whatever it may be, right? Because now that they've made solid contact, they now need to know how to make it go straight. So that person in this engagement step is really important, right? So what gets overlooked and what I overlooked too is I overlooked this at the beginning of my business career of saying like, oh, like, you know, the front staff and the people who answer the phone, like that can just be like a high schooler, like one of my students, like they're a nice guy and like nothing against hiring high schoolers or anything like that. But if I'm trying to get someone to come in and take a service, I don't really know if I want a 17-year-old kid answering the phone, or if it is, they need to be well polished, well-groomed, like they need to articulate well. They need to know how to properly communicate to the customer, figure out like what their pains are, what their struggles are, what they're after, what's their goals, and really vet them to qualify them to come into whatever that facility is so that they can engage in the next process. So when they are on the phone, that's really important part of the engagement. And it doesn't stop there. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots, because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. Then you go, okay, well, now the person's taking the phone call. So now who's the next important person in line? And you go, well, the next person that's in line that's important is the person that's at the front desk for when they basically step up through the door. And remember, you're trying to satisfy like their love languages and at the same time over deliver. So you go, well, like, what would it look like to over deliver? And you go, well, what if you were actually if someone were, let's say if you were at a gym, which is pretend, right? You're at a gym. What if you had someone who actually was at the front desk, and when they saw someone pull in with their gym bag and they got out of the gym bag, you had that person walk out to the parking lot and carry their gym bag into the gym. So the point being is that if the person looks at you and they're like, no, you don't need to do that. That's too much. That's exactly what you need to do, because that's exactly how that customer needs to be treated, because you need to over deliver. See, there is, ever since almost like it seems like COVID, customer service has just gone down the drain, and people think that they have a right to suck, and it sucks to suck. You cannot treat people terrible and then expect them to be lifelong customers. You need to over-deliver and do everything that you can to make sure that that person feels loved, valued, appreciated for them stepping foot in your business so that they're there. And that takes training within the facility and the people in which you hire, right? So there really is something to be said about being slow to hire, but quick to fire, right? So now, after we have engaged with them on the phone, or first we've given them a lead magnet, they've engaged, we've earned some trust, we've called them up, we've talked to them on the phone, they seem like the other person on the phone when they're talking to like the employee's super energetic, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now they're walking into the facility, and when they're walking into the facility, we're over-delivering, we're holding the door, we're grabbing their bag, we're doing whatever it is that we can. And at the same time, when they walk in, your business, whoever's running your front staff, like who's ever at the cart bar or the cart, like where the clubs are dropped off, or the pro shop, they are absolutely ecstatic. Like, they are so happy to see this person walk in the door. They're like, oh my gosh, John, like, you're here. You made it, man. Like, we're so excited. We have been prepping all day for your arrival. Like, you made it. Like, this is going to be epic. Like, you're at the golf room, or like you're at Canoebrook, or you're at like Essex County, or like whatever it is. They're just super excited that you're there, right? Now, on top of that, it doesn't just stop with this engagement process. It doesn't just stop with, hey, like, we're super excited here. Don't miss the fact that it's also the facility in which they're walking into. So it's how it smells, it's how it like tastes, the texture, the colors, the eye lines, like the sight, like how the vision patterns. Like, do you use curved lines, straight edges, sharp edges? Like, how's the flow of the journey? How's the person walking? What's the traffic patterns like? All of those things make a massive difference, because at the end of the day, right, this whole engagement flywheel that we're going through, it all goes back to that LTV to CAC ratio of lifetime value versus the cost to acquire the customer. And you're trying to create this engagement with the customer so that they want to be in your facility forever. And if they're in your facility and you're delivering and it's a relationship, then you can provide the services. And now you are doing what God has called you to do, which is hopefully the mission of what your facility is. So you're just doing what you're fulfilling your own unique God-given design, and you're just doing your job and doing it better. So the nice part about all of this stuff that I'm going to tell you is that it doesn't really require more money spent. It just means do your job better, which is not hard, right? We just have to do a better job. So the first part is enticing. The second part is engaging, right? So with that said, that's the first two parts. And if you come back next time, I'm going to tell you the third part of this engagement flywheel, which if you master this engagement flywheel, it'll change your life. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of Stock Shot Secrets. I want to invite you, the business owner who would like to learn how to scale your revenue to make more money inside your business. I want to invite you to Columbus. Spend a few days with me where I show you everything that we do at the golf room to build our business to go from like 1 bay to 2 bays and then 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, 4 to 6 and 6 to 12, and now the largest player development facility in America. I'm going to show you everything we have, basically give you the franchise code, if you will, on how we go about our business. So I want to invite you to learn more about it. Just go to thegolfroom.com/business-coaching, and you can learn all about this process and see if it's a good fit for you. And hopefully I see you soon in Columbus, Ohio.